Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Thursday, April 27th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Thursday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's going to be the Miami Marlins and the Atlanta Braves. We're going to see Braxton Garrett and Kyle Wright on the mound in this one. While I do think the Marlins have the advantage in the starting pitching matchup, I don't think it's by enough for me to want to take the Marlins in this game because I think the Braves have the huge advantage in the lineup and bullpen department of this one. And for me, I'm just going to lean towards the over in this game. As although Braxton Garrett's off to a good start this season, he's facing a Braves lineup that's third in baseball in team OPS and isolated power against left-handed pitching. They also have a pretty high walk rate at 9.5%. So I think the Braves could still get to Braxton Garrett here. And Kyle Wright on the other side hasn't been off to a great start this year, giving up his last start 2 home runs. In his last start against the Houston Astros, 7 base hits in that game, 4 total runs. ERA right now at 5.93. So, the Marlins offense not the greatest against right-handed pitching. I think they do enough here to get us over this total, though. So give me the over in Miami, Atlanta. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're going to see Julio Urias and Mitch Keller on the mound in this game. The Pirates are 6th in baseball in team OPS against lefties. Isolated power numbers not as strong, but we saw Julio Urias in his last game. He wasn't the sharpest in that one. He gave up 5 earned runs, 2 homers to the Chicago Cubs, and now that makes it 4 home runs in his last 9 innings of work for Urias. This is somebody that likes to keep the ball on the ground. He's more of a pitch-to-contact guy, a ground ball pitcher. If you're giving up the long ball, he's given up at least 1 in his last 3 starts. That's a big concern for me. So, Mitch Keller, I like what he's done on the mound so far. I don't love this Pirates bullpen. We saw that in the first game of the series where the Pirates bullpen, the Pirates were up to a nice lead, and the pitching staff blew it towards the middle innings. But I think Pittsburgh can take the lead in the first 5 innings of this game. So give me Pittsburgh money line in the first 5. Next up, it's the Seattle Mariners taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. We're going to see George Kirby and Matt Strahm on the mound in this one. I think this is a good matchup for the Philadelphia lineup in this game. George Kirby, right-handed pitcher. The Phillies have hit righties well to start 2023. Kirby has a 3.57 ERA, but a much steeper 4.18 xFIP, 4.27 expected ERA, and a 4.09 SIERA. So there is some regression concerns in his game. When you look at his baseball savant page, you see he's in the bottom 13th percentile in expected batting average, also in the bottom 25th in K percentage because his whiff rate is way down this year. So I do think the Philadelphia Phillies, like I said, a good lineup against righties. You look at their numbers to be exact, they are right now 8th in baseball in isolated power against right-handed pitching, 5th in baseball in team OPS. So I think they can get to Kirby. On the other side, Matt Strahm's pitching pretty well in the starting pitching role, and the Seattle Mariners have not been great against lefties to start 2023. 26th in the league in team OPS. Isolated power numbers a little bit better, but their strikeout rate is way up there so far, 26.5%. That's 7th highest in the league. Give me the Philadelphia Phillies here on the money line at home. Next up, it's the San Diego Padres taking on the Chicago Cubs with Seth Lugo and Hayden Wesneski on the mound in this one. I still think Hayden Wesneski can be a sharp starter in this Cubs rotation this year and going forward, but right now, inconsistent numbers for him and inconsistent stuff overall. His strikeout numbers have been all over the place, and I think Seth Lugo's been the much better pitcher. Surprisingly, going in from the Mets bullpen to a starting pitcher in this Padres rotation, Lugo has really stepped up his game. He's got a sub-3 ERA to start the year. Missing bats, he's limiting sharp contact. I think he pitches well in a game like this, and although the Cubs lineup has been tough to face, I think the Padres have the better bullpen, the better lineup, and the better starting pitcher in a game like this. So give me San Diego. I'm going to take them on the money line on the road. Next up, it's the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the San Francisco Giants. Miles Mikolas and Logan Webb are your starters. It's tough to back Miles Mikolas on the road where, last year we saw him have an ERA above 4. This year, an ERA above 7, and he's coming off a rough start against the Mariners where he gave up 2 more home runs. The Giants have hit right-handed pitching a lot better than left-handed pitching, that's for sure. And I think they can get to Mikolas. And Logan Webb pitched really well at Oracle Park last year. He's pitched well at home this season to start, and I think he's going to pitch well in this spot. So give me the San Francisco Giants on the money line in the first 5 innings because I don't trust that Giants bullpen. Next up, it's the Oakland Athletics taking on the Los Angeles Angels. J.P. Sears and Shohei Ohtani are your starters. We see the Angels as huge favorites in a game like this. Not a lot of value here, but I still think the Angels win this game and cover the run line in the end. JP Sears, I like what I saw from him last start. Although he gave up those 4 earned runs, he had 11 strikeouts in 6 innings against the Rangers, and he was good enough for the A's to go on to win that game 5-4 over Texas. But the only problem is the Angels do a really good job at limiting strikeouts against lefties. They're a much better lineup overall against left-handed pitching, so I just don't think that this matchup benefits JP Sears or the Oakland A's bullpen at all. And on the other side, Shohei Ohtani, 3-0 with a .64 ERA. He has been razor sharp on the mound to start the season. Now, hasn't had the toughest strength of schedule in terms of the opponents he's faced. The A's, the Mariners, the Nationals, the Royals, the Red Sox. That Red Sox game, he only went 2 innings because of a rain delay that lasted about an hour, so he had to miss the rest of the game. But, overall, Ohtani, tough to beat right now. Missing bats, facing a weak lineup. He's already had success against this team. His first start of the season, 6 innings, 10 strikeouts. Give me the Los Angeles Angels, laying the 1.5 runs on the run line. Next up, it's the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Detroit Tigers. Kyle Gibson and Joey Wentz are your starters in this one. We saw the same exact pitching matchup on April 22nd, and I could see a similar result in this game. I like the Orioles on the run line. Kyle Gibson had his best start of 2023 in that game. It was 6 1/3 innings of work with only 1 earned run allowed and 11 strikeouts. On the other side, Joey Wentz gave up all 5 of those runs in 4 innings of work, 6 base hits, 2 walks, and a homer. The Orioles have done really well against lefties. They're top 10 in baseball in both team OPS and isolated power against left-handed pitching. They're top 5 in walk rate, and their strikeout rate is the 10th lowest in the league. So give me the Baltimore Orioles, laying the 1.5 runs in this one. Next up, it's the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Chicago White Sox. We should see Shane McClanahan and Dylan Cease on the mound in this one. And this is another rematch between these two in the same exact pitching matchup back on April 22nd. I like the Rays in this game. Dylan Cease has given up a lot of sharp contact this season. We've also seen, against teams like the Rays that can work pitch counts, we've seen Cease get really high in the pitch count early in games. He only went 4 innings of work in that last start against Tampa Bay, and he threw 101 pitches in that one. So it tells me, yes, he's able to miss bats and earn strikeouts, but he can walk batters at any time. He can give up that sharp contact, and against the Rays lineup, it's crushed righties this season. I don't like this spot for Cease, and I also don't think that this White Sox bullpen is going to be able to hold down the fort much either. I mean, this has been one of the worst bullpens in baseball, so if this is a close game late, or even if the White Sox have a small lead late, I don't trust this White Sox bullpen in the end, so give me the Tampa Bay Rays on the money line on the road. Next up, it's the Washington Nationals taking on the New York Mets. Trevor Williams and Joey Lucchesi are your starters. Now, Trevor Williams facing his former team in this one. Joey Lucchesi pitching in his second game of the season. Do I think Lucchesi's going to be able to put together similar starts as he did in his first outing for the rest of this season? No way. I do think there's some regression in his game as we move forward, and I could see him giving up a few runs early in this one. But the big thing for me is, the Washington Nationals, although their numbers on paper look pretty good against lefties, their team OPS is top 10 in the league. You look at their BABIP right now sitting at the 4th highest at 351. I do think there's some regression there, and we also see the Nationals, although they're number 10 in baseball in team OPS against lefties, they're also dead last in the league in isolated power against those lefties. So no power numbers at all, basically, for Washington. They've done a good job of limiting strikeouts, but I think Lucchesi's still the better option here because I just don't think Trevor Williams is the type of starting pitcher that wants to go up against the Mets team that limits strikeouts, works pitch counts, can get on base, can make a pitcher's life a lot more difficult, and especially for a guy like Williams who doesn't really have that best strikeout stuff to begin with. I think Williams struggles here, and I think the Mets get to him early and often. So give me the New York Mets here on the run line, laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, it's the Kansas City Royals taking on the Minnesota Twins. Zach Greinke and Tyler Mahle are your starters. This is a really bad spot for the Royals, a team that could use some wins, but I don't think they're going to get one here. As you got Zach Greinke pitching on the road, we know he does not pitch anywhere near as good away from home as he does at Kauffman Stadium. Even this year, you look at his numbers so far, a 3.63 ERA at Kauffman, a 6.3 ERA on the road. Last year, pretty similar stuff. I mean, he had a 1.91 ERA at Kauffman, 5.32 on the road. Now you've got a Kansas City team that's playing in Arizona on Wednesday afternoon, granted, so they have a little bit more time, but they have to go from Arizona to Minnesota. So across the country, Minnesota gets to stay at home after their series against the Yankees. They're more rested, basically. They've got the much better starter, the much better lineup, and the much better bullpen. To me, this is a mismatch. Give me the Minnesota Twins laying the 1.5 runs. And the final game for Thursday's card in Major League Baseball, it's the New York Yankees and the Texas Rangers. We're going to see Garrett Cole and Andrew Heaney on the mound in this one. we've yet to see Garrett Cole struggle in 2023. I mean, he's 4-0 with a .79 ERA in his first 34 innings of work this season, his first 5 starts of the year, 36 strikeouts, a .79 whip. His last start wasn't his best in terms of the strikeout numbers, 4 strikeouts at 5 2/3 innings, but he still pitched a shutout against the Blue Jays. The big thing for me is, though, the Rangers are top 4 in baseball in team OPS and isolated power against right-handed pitching. They have a low strikeout rate and a high walk rate. So this does set up to be a start where Cole could struggle. It's only his second start of the season on the road, so he's been pitching a lot of games at home this year. And the Rangers, they crush righties. You got Andrew Heaney on the other side, a guy who's had issues with his control at times. He's facing his former team here. And the Yankees are number 1 in baseball in walk percentage against lefties at 16.4%. Their strikeout rate's actually not too high either, 21.3%. So we know the Yankees have a lot of sluggers in their lineup, guys that can strike out a good amount of times, guys like Stanton and Judge, but this team's actually limited the strikeouts against lefties for the most part. So, they have a low BABIP, but I think we're going to see some positive regression for this Yankees lineup against lefties as the season continues. This could be a good spot for the Yankees lineup against the lefty here. Give me the over in Yankees Rangers. I lean towards the Yankees, but I think Cole could be in trouble, so give me the over. And that's it. Those are the baseball games for Thursday. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.